Me encanta esta idea de que la vida es pasajera. ¿So? Yeah, life is fleeting. Life is something that moves on. Y así es buena idea disfrutar de la vida y vivir en el momento, ¿no? Así es la vida, ¿no? Muy bien. Bueno, ok. Lo que... momento. Eso, no. Ok. Pausa. Ok. Bueno, vamos a hablar un poquito del pasado. Ustedes van a practicar, nosotros vamos a practicar principalmente hoy con el pasado, pero como ustedes saben muy bien, el pasado toma, uy, mira gatito, el pasado toma muchas formas, ¿no? Formas para descripción, formas para hablar de eventos y formas para hablar de una acción reciente, algo que puede pasar otra vez, pero sí pasó en el pasado como presente perfecto, ¿no? Entonces hay muchas maneras de expresar el pasado. Ok. Entonces, vamos a empezar con otro video, pero algo para escuchar, para comprensión de escucha y usando una mezcla de los pasados, de los verbos en el pasado. Y es un cuento de dos hermanas. Es un video de dos hermanas que están hablando de la vida junta, la vida que tienen juntas, las memorias que tienen juntas, ¿verdad? Y van a usar, creo, principalmente el pretérito o el imperfecto. Y es buena idea escuchar antes de que ustedes hablen. A ver.
¿Cómo están? En el video de hoy estamos aquí con
Valentina.
Y Valentina, ¿usted quién es?
Yo soy la hermana de Andrea.
Ella es mi hermanita, solo tengo una hermana, entonces se las presento. Hoy vamos a contarles otra historia para comprensión. We're gonna be using the preterit and the imperfect. Entonces vamos a contar varias historias, ¿no? Así que vamos a ver. Pues este es otro video más donde ustedes van a escucharnos hablar y van a tratar de entender. Y luego van a ver las preguntas. Entonces, ¿qué vamos a hacer hoy, Valen?
Vamos a recordar las historias de cuando nosotras dos éramos niñas.
Vamos a contarles historias de nuestra infancia, ¿no? Entonces yo voy a contarles dos historias pequeñas de Valentina. ¿Y usted cuántas va a contar?
Dos.
Tenemos muchas, ¿no? Pero hemos escogido las más importantes. Entonces, bueno, Valentina, empiece con la anécdota número 1.
Bueno, cuando Andrea tenía 13 años, yo tenía 7. Entonces, un día Andrea quería hacer una comida especial para nuestra familia. Entonces, ella cocinó plátanos y por encima le echó jarabe, le echó un medicamento, le echó queso y le echó mermelada. Y ella pensó que, no sé, que era algo rico y que nos iba a gustar, pero estaba muy horrible y nadie se lo comió.
Sí, es que yo quería hacer algo especial para la familia, así que fui a la cocina y, como dice Valentina, tomé los plátanos y encima puse queso, pero el queso estaba rico, ¿no? ¿No? A nadie le gustó. Yo puse, Valentina dijo jarabe. Jarabe es un medicamento. ¿Cómo describimos un jarabe?
Jarabe es un medicamento que se toma, es líquido. Entonces, cuando una persona está enferma, puede tomar un jarabe y eso le va a ayudar a que esté bien. Andrea vio que era de color blanco y que era espeso, entonces pensó que era algo rico, pero no, era jarabe.
Yo me confundí porque el jarabe es espeso y a veces es blanco o rojo, entonces yo pensé que era una crema, por eso la puse encima del plátano, pero era horrible y a nadie le gustó.
Bueno, entonces sí, jarabe es como cough syrup, generalmente, ¿no? Jarabe es syrup, pero es medicamento para la tos, ¿no?
Bueno, ahora yo voy a decirles la anécdota número 2 y después Laura les va a decir la número 3, ¿sí? Ella se llama Laura Valentina, por eso le digo Laura o Valen. Entonces la anécdota número 3 es que yo siempre tenía que bañar a esta señorita todas las mañanas cuando ella estaba en el jardín. ¿Cuántos años tenía usted?
Como 4.
Ella tenía 4 o 5 años y en ese tiempo, durante 2 años, yo me levantaba, la bañaba, la cambiaba, le daba el desayuno y después ¿qué hacía?
Me llevaba al jardín.
La llevaba al jardín y ella se quedaba allá con más niños y luego en la tarde yo iba a recogerla. ¿A qué horas más o menos?
Como a las 3.
Entonces yo era como la niñera de ella. Por eso es que ella va a cuidar a mis bebés. ¿Cierto?
Sí.
No, pero ella tiene que pagarme que yo fui la niñera durante 2 años. Entonces esa es la anécdota número 2. Yo fui la niñera de mi hermana por casi 2 años. Y en la tarde la recogía y la regresaba a la casa. Vamos ahora para la número 3. ¿Cuál es la anécdota número 3?
Cuando estábamos más pequeñas, yo y Andrea poníamos música en el equipo de sonido y cogíamos cepillos para arreglarse el cabello y nosotras empezábamos a cantar, pero teníamos una ventana muy grande. Entonces cuando las personas pasaban por fuera de la casa y volteaban a mirar, nosotras nos escondíamos detrás del mueble para que no nos vieran.
Sí, es que yo tenía 13 años y ella tenía 6 años, ¿no? Y imaginábamos que estábamos en un concierto y tomábamos los cepillos del pelo, imaginando que eran micrófonos. Y cantábamos, ¿no? Y gritábamos y después salíamos corriendo y nos reíamos y era muy chévere. Y bueno, vamos ahora para la anécdota número 4. La anécdota número 4 es que Valentina un día se cayó por unas escaleras. ¿Recuerda eso? Ella se cayó, era muy pequeña, tenía como 5 años y se pegó aquí. Lo siento, pero era muy chistoso porque después ella tenía un chichón aquí. ¿Qué es un chichón?
Es como cuando una persona se golpea, más que todo en la cabeza, entonces como que la piel se pone, o sea, es como si fuera una protuberancia, como un círculo de piel.
Sí, como una pequeña pelota ahí. Y Valentina tenía una aquí, en toda la frente. Por mucho tiempo le duró esta bola ahí, entonces era un poco chistoso. Bueno, y ya para terminar, después de estas 4 anécdotas, Valentina nos va a decir cuál es el mejor recuerdo que tiene de su infancia. ¿Cuál es ese mejor recuerdo?
Cuando yo cumplí 8 años, salimos con nuestra familia a almorzar y comimos pescado. Después, mis papás me compraron una braga verde con unas botas moradas, una camisa morada y una balaca verde. Entonces esa ropa me gustaba muchísimo y yo siempre me la estaba poniendo para salir a todas partes y también me tomaba muchas fotos con esa ropa.
Sí, a mí me pareció muy chistoso porque verde con morado, balaca es como
Intercalado.
sí, balaca es una cinta para el pelo, ¿no? Y la braga es como un overall y con las botas morado, verde, era como un pequeño payasito, pero a ella le encantaba. Bueno, entonces ya este es el final de estas historias y anécdotas que tienes para decir a quienes nos escuchan.
Bueno, pues espero que hayan podido entender nuestras anécdotas, que hayan podido entender todo lo que estábamos diciendo y que sigan mejorando su español.
Ujú. Y ya saben que ahora vienen unas preguntas para que ustedes contesten rápidamente para ver qué tanto comprendieron. Ahora vamos para las preguntas. Número 1. ¿Cuántos años tenía Valentina cuando Andrea tenía 13? A.
Tenía 6.
B. Tenía 6. C.
6,
Tenía 8. ¿Cuál es la respuesta? ¿Se acuerdan?
6,
La
B,
respuesta es
6.
B. Tenía 6. Número 2. ¿Cuáles fueron los ingredientes que Andrea le puso a los plátanos? A. Mermelada, medicamento y jarabe. B. Jarabe, queso y medicamento. C. Mermelada, queso y jarabe. ¿Se recuerdan? La
Sí.
respuesta es
C.
la C. Mermelada, queso y jarabe. Pregunta número 3. ¿Qué es el jarabe? A. Es un medicamento líquido que se toma. B. Es un líquido que se toma. C. Es un dulce líquido para plátanos.
A,
A.
¿Cuál creen que es la respuesta? Está muy fácil. La respuesta es la A. Es un medicamento líquido que se toma. Número 4. ¿Qué hacía Andrea con Valentina antes de llevarla al jardín? A. La levantaba, la cambiaba y le daba el desayuno. B. La levantaba, la bañaba y le daba el desayuno. C. La bañaba, la cambiaba y le daba el desayuno. Y la respuesta es la C. La bañaba, la cambiaba y le daba el desayuno. Número 5.
Más difícil.
¿A qué horas recogía Andrea a Valentina del jardín? A. Como a las 3. B. A las 3. C. Después de las 3. ¿Cuál era la respuesta? ¿Recuerdan? Es la A. Como a las 3. La número 6. ¿Qué usábamos Valentina y yo como micrófonos? A. Usábamos los cepillos del pelo. B. Usábamos los cepillos de dientes. C. Usábamos los cepillos de limpiar.
A,
Esta está fácil también. ¿Cuál era la respuesta? La respuesta es la A. Usábamos los cepillos del pelo. Número 7. ¿Qué le pasó a Valentina cuando se cayó por las escaleras? A. Le salió un morado muy grande.
C.
B. Se raspó la cabeza. C. Le salió
C.
un chichón.
C.
Y la respuesta es la C. Le salió un chichón. La número 8, la última. ¿Cuál era la ropa favorita de Valentina? A. Unas botas moradas, una balaca morada, una camisa verde y una braga morada. B. Unas botas moradas, una camisa morada, una balaca verde y una braga verde. C. Una braga verde, una camisa morada, unas botas moradas y una balaca morada. Miren bien la respuesta para que piensen muy bien.
Ah,
¿Cuál era? Era la B.
sí.
Unas botas moradas, una camisa morada, una balaca verde y una braga verde. Ok, ese fue el video de hoy.
Ok, pero un momento, cuidado con la palabra braga. En plural, bragas, con frecuencia, bragas con S al fin, ¿no? Al final de la palabra. Bragas en muchos países quiere decir underpants. Entonces, cuidado, ¿no? Braga aquí son de Colombia y en Colombia es frecuente usar braga como overalls o algo para niños, ¿no? Algo que cubre no es vestido, pero un traje para jugar cuando los niños juegan en el jardín o en el parque, pero bragas con S con frecuencia en muchos países quiere decir underpants. Cuidado, ok. A ver, muy bien. ¿Y fue fácil o difícil entender lo que dijeron, what they said? ¿Fue fácil o difícil?
Fácil.
Así, pero no muy difícil, ¿verdad? No muy difícil.
No, a
No,
menos
ok.
que la ropa.
Ok,
La
exacto,
ropa.
porque siempre hay, entre muchos países hay muchas diferencias entre palabras o términos para la ropa. La ropa y la comida, hay muchas diferencias entre vocabulario en Latinoamérica, en España, en el Caribe, así es. Y hay que aprender el vocabulario de cada país para varias cosas, especialmente con comida y con la ropa. Ok. Bien. Bueno, antes de trabajar juntos en grupos más pequeños, I do want you to do a repeat. You guys did a practice for what you've done over the summer. Okay, and I'm going to want you to go off into little groups to eventually practice that. But we're going to do some little quickie quizzes together just to kind of tag down or pin down that difference between preterito and imperfecto. And of course, you might use presente perfecto too. You know, it depends on how that time rolls in the past, which one you use. So we're going to work that a little bit today. Primero, hay algo fácil y voy a compartirles algo aquí. Hay un sitio web. I will put this on a great big platform so that you can seg through all this information. But they do talk about preterite and imperfect, and when we combine them, a lot of times we combine them to talk about describing something that was going on when something else interrupted, and what was going on in the background is imperfecto, whatever interrupted came in the middle of that action would wind up being preterito. So you can read this over later, but that tells you. Preterito, claro, indica un evento, algo que terminó, una acción terminada, ¿verdad? Right? For terminated or finished actions, we use preterito en general. This is a nice website because it gives you a lot of, time signature words that might be more associated with one tense than another. I would always say take that with a grain of salt because people may use those time references in different ways, but generally what it means. The nice thing about this is that I will show you, if you feel a little iffy on pronunciación, they give you a little icon where you can not only hear the pronunciation of that time signature word, but you see somebody's lips and how they're pronouncing it. So that's kind of a nice feature. Vale la pena repasar esta información. Verbos que son realmente pretérito, casi siempre. Y debido a la definición de la palabra, to get married, casi siempre en pretérito. Es muy raro expresar we were getting married. No se dice con frecuencia, you got married. Así, pretérito. Cumplir años es tener un cumpleaños. En inglés decimos to turn a certain age. I turned 16, I turned 25, lo que sea, ¿no? Pero casi siempre, siempre en pretérito. Cumplí. Cuando cumplí 20 años, when I turned 20, okay? Literally when I completed that number of years, but when I had that birthday, y es pretérito. Darse cuenta de una frase tan importante. Realizar, en español, realizar no es to realize. Realizar es to realize cuando es somebody realized their dream, meaning they made it happen. Okay? So we do have that meaning of to realize something in English, but 95% of the time when we use the verb realize in English, we mean this verb here, darse cuenta de. Y darse cuenta de siempre en pretérito, porque pasó. O presente. You can of course use this in present, but when we're using it in the past, it's almost never going to be used as imperfecto because when you realize something that happened, and it's like, the bolt out of the blue, right? The light bulb that pops in over your head. So that's really almost always got to be pretérito. Decidir casi siempre en pretérito. Usually we don't express it as I was deciding, I decided, he decided. Pretérito. Descubrir, igual, pretérito. Graduarse, I was graduating, I used to graduate, no, I graduated. Pretérito, casi siempre. Llegar con frecuencia en pretérito. Arrived, okay, because of course that's an event and it's over quickly. So you will on occasion see people using that in imperfecto, but the vast majority of the time pretérito. Morir, obvio, ¿no? Un evento. Nacer, obvio, un evento. You were being born, ¿quién dice eso? Who talks about somebody was being born, right? They were born. Y salir, llegar, salir, porque son eventos y la acción pasa bastante rápidamente y se acabó, right? It was over with. So, okay. Imperfecto. Imperfecto es para repetición, acciones repetidas, algo que se hace con frecuencia o que hacía con frecuencia muchas veces, pero no sabemos el número exacto de estos eventos, ¿sí? Cuando hablamos de la edad de alguien en el pasado, when we talk about somebody's age, whether it's as specific as I was 10, when I was 10, or whether it's as vague as when I was young, right? With age, whenever we talk about age, except for having a birthday, any other time you talk about age, it's imperfecto, okay? Because we just use that with age. We use it with repeated events. We use it to say used to. Anything that was done a lot, but we don't know how often, is imperfecto. If you went to a place 3 times, and you state that you went 3 times, that'll be preterito because you're limiting it with 3 veces. But if you say you went a lot and you're vague about it, then imperfecto, okay? Y para describir, but to describe, right? Often to talk about many emotional states, how somebody used to feel, not how they reacted is preterito, but how somebody used to feel, imperfecto. And again, they'll give you a list. So I'll give you this website later on so you can go back and kind of check through it and, you know, ponder that. Lo que vamos a hacer ahora es tomar una prueba breve, ¿sí? Y es fácil porque hay solamente 2 tiempos para escoger, ¿sí? Hay que escoger pretérito e imperfecto nada más. Pero tenemos pistas, we've got clues, we've got time or contextual meaning built in somehow for each one, so that you should be able to tell whether it's pretérito o imperfecto. Entonces, pueden ver, o es chiquitito. Can you see this or is it too small? Is demasiado? Bien, ok. ¿Hablaste o hablaba?
Hablaste, sí.
Hablaste.
Sí.
Tenemos una pista ayer, claro,
Sí.
ayer por la tarde es algo muy específico, ¿no? Ok. Gemelos, twins. Gemelos son twins.
Tenían.
Tenían porque hablamos de la edad en el pasado. I graduated.
Sí, me
gradué, claro. Siempre. We always cleaned the car on Saturdays.
Limpiábamos.
Limpiábamos porque
Limpiábamos.
indica un hábito, ¿verdad? Un hábito.
Sí.
Los sábados, Saturdays, no sabemos cuántos, todos los sábados, probable. Siempre cada revista de cabo a rabo, from beginning to end. Leía, claro, fantástico. Esta mañana vosotros, no usamos vosotros con tanta frecuencia, pero...
This morning it would be
levantasteis. Ok, es más difícil con vosotros porque no practicamos con vosotros. Aquí en España se usa con frecuencia, pero aquí...
I forgot to close that blind right there.
Aquí no. Ok. We went to school when we were kids. Oh.
Íbamos.
Éramos niños, we were kids. Es algo muy vago. You know, it's pretty vague. We don't know. Long time, we just don't know how long. Okay. Ayer. Fui. Perfecto. Estudiaba. Siempre, always. Ella.
Vivía.
Okay. No sabemos el periodo de tiempo.
Sí.
No dice por 10 años, es un periodo de tiempo indefinido, no sabemos de veras. Ok. Yo,
Went shopping.
Fui
cada
de
semana
compras.
Maybe.
Iba.
iba. Cada semana, every week. Repetición otra vez. Esta mañana,
Lavé.
me lavé porque esta mañana, muy específico. Ella nunca me... Ningún regalo. Never gave me a gift.
Daba.
There's no time limitation.
Daba. Aunque no ocurrió, even though it didn't happen, because we've got a nunca in there, that indicates that it was the same thing every year or season, whatever, referring to with el regalo. Mi hermano nunca me llamaba antes de las 12. Never used to call me before noon, before 12, o lo que sea. Ok, ellos, de vez en cuando, from time to time,
Se quejaba.
se quedaba. They used to stay from time to time. De vez en cuando indica una repetición, no sabemos exactamente cuándo. Mi hermano, por 4 años, asistió porque mencionamos el periodo de tiempo, claro, ok, aquí, vosotros otra vez, perdón. Todas las mañanas os...
Vosotros levantáis.
Levantabais, sí, ok, sí, used to get up. Hoy por la mañana
Sonó.
sonó. Hoy por la mañana
Sonó.
muy específico. Entonces mi hermano
Empezó.
empezó a tomar, bien, yo I dyed my hair. Me pinté, tenemos aquí ayer, claro. Ok, anoche
Fui.
fui. Muy automáticamente, muy bien. Ellos descubrieron dónde fue enterrado el hueso, where the bone was buried. Where the bone was buried. Donde fue enterrado el hueso, fue enterrado, was buried, and the bone was buried, el hueso. Ella me visitó una vez, una vez, claro. Ok, ella en la fiesta.
Conocía.
No, I'd say conocía. There's no time limit here.
En una fiesta.
En una fiesta conoció.
Conoció. Aquí quiere decir met. Met.
That's right.
Conocer en imperfecto es knew. Conocía, por ejemplo, en la fiesta, yo conocía a mucha gente.
Okay.
I knew lots of people. I knew them. I knew a lot of people at the party. But met them, it's aquí, ella me conoció. Ok. Perdón, otra vez con vosotros. Frecuentemente. Comíais, imperfecto, porque frecuentemente, ¿no? De niña, as a kid, visitaba, tenemos de niña, as a kid, y con frecuencia, otra vez, repetición. Soler, to be accustomed to usually do something.
Movies.
Ir al cine todos los domingos por la tarde.
Número 1.
Solías. Aquí soler es to do something usually mean, and that's, yeah.
And that's really that's conjugated weirdly too. I think it's not used in all tenses or in all conjugations. I'm trying to remember that. Your suelo, usually it's past.
Yeah, se puede decir suelo ir, I usually go. Suelo ir, I usually go. Pero solía es más común, creo, en el pasado. Generalmente, tú
Así es.
hacías. Generalmente indica que alguien hacía la acción varias veces, ¿verdad? Ok, esta tarde, un billete de autobús.
Compré.
Compré. Muy claro, bien. Los indios precolombianos.
Tocaban.
String instruments. De cuerda indica string instruments.
Tocaban.
Tocaban porque no sabemos cuántas veces, pero claro, un hábito, ¿no? No sabemos exactamente. Ok, ella
Acostaba.
anoche
Acostó.
Se acostó.
se acostó porque tenemos anoche. Temprano no tiene nada que ver. Temprano has nothing to do with what tense.
Sí.
Temprano just says early. You know, you could be saying you went to bed early every night, or you could be saying last night. And here, aquí es anoche. Claro, entonces se acostó. El otro día, Juan le
Compró.
compró. El otro día es un periodo muy específico. Don Quijote siempre
Oh boy.
always did crazy things for a lady whose name was Dulcinea.
Se llamó.
Así es, se llamaba.
Llamaba.
Ok. Esto es importante. Llamar, to call, con frecuencia en pretérito. I called somebody. Pero when you talk about somebody's name was, we cannot use that in preterit. To use llamarse in the past, we really have to make it imperfecto, always. That's a blanket rule, okay? Because somebody didn't suddenly stop having a name. You know, their name used to be that term of what they used for their name, okay? So, llamarse siempre imperfecto. We were going to go, pero alguien llamó a la puerta, but somebody came up to the door, called at the door. Esto es difícil. This one's a little harder.
Fuimos.
I would go íbamos.
Fuimos.
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 Íbamos.
You think it's fuimos? You think it's fuimos?
Fuimos.
Not fuimos.
No.
Okay.
Oh.
Íbamos.
It is íbamos. Okay. I wanted you to see what it looks like when it gives you a wrong answer, because if you want to go back again. Okay, so now, here's a really important thing. Whenever you want to say, I was going to do this, that's always the I was going to part is always imperfecto, always. It's just what they use. You know, we think of I was going to, and we think of that as being kind of final, but I was going to is always imperfecto. They always use it that way. Okay, de niño as a kid.
I play with
I would say
Gustaba.
Sí.
Me gustaba. Okay, now how that could become me gustó might be if I saw something, you know, you gave something one time to a kid to play with, and then you maybe ask them, ¿te gustó? ¿Te gustó esa muñeca? Did you like that doll? You're asking for their reaction to that doll because they've never seen that particular doll. But if you say, I liked to do something, it's how you felt, and it's, well, something that doesn't have a beginning and end. You know, I used to like this. So it's gustaba. Okay. Nadie, nobody.
Solely enter.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Vio.
They're a little misleading. Nadie takes the same form
No.
as an ella verb. Nobody saw me come in is what this means.
Right.
Nadie
Vio.
me,
Vio.
It's a
nadie me
statement.
vio. Nobody saw me come in. Coming in is something that is not a leisurely kind of action, okay? It happens with certain finality. And if somebody saw it, again, that happens with a certain amount of finality. Okay, en ella época, and that at that time period.
That would be.
Difícil.
Recibió. Es una vez, ¿sí? Es una. Fue
En
una.
aquella época, at that
No,
time.
recibía.
No.
Recibía.
We don't really know specifically in that, época is a big block of time. It's not 5 años. It's not 2 meses. It's a big block of time. And we don't really know how long aquella época in that time period, long ago. So it's pretty indefinite. Mi madre, esquí acuático, water skiing. De vez en cuando.
Okay.
Practicaba.
Practicaba porque de vez en cuando, claro. En ese momento, at that moment, at that time, at that moment, tú
Abriste.
abriste generalmente, ¿verdad? Ok. Una pregunta más. De niña, as a kid, todo el tiempo
Nadaba.
Nadaba.
nadaba. Ustedes hicieron muy bien. You guys did really well. I will give you the link to that screen. It's pretty cool and kind of fun. It's a good review. Ok. Quiero que ustedes practiquen ahora hablando de lo que hacían, lo que ustedes hacían o lo que ustedes hicieron durante el verano, ¿no? We're going to go off into some breakout groups and what you practiced or wrote or record. I'm sorry that recording wasn't working for most of you, but I want you to go into smaller groups and talk about what you did, because this is a thing that, we talked about. There's a big joke on the internet about how we're going to greet everybody when we can finally talk to them face, and that, everybody will say, what did you do? And everybody's going to say nothing. We'll have nothing to talk about. Okay. Bueno, quizás en grupos de 3, 2 o 3. ¿Qué creen? ¿Sí? 2 o 3. Bien, ok. A ver, me imagino que ustedes necesitan por lo menos 7 minutos o quizás 10. 10, creo que 10 minutos son mejores, ¿no? 10 minutes might be a little bit better.
Sí.
Con 3 personas o... Ok, o 2 personas, depende, ¿no? A ver. Ok, muy bien. Recuerden, por favor, please remember, you have to hit the join button when I send you off. And if you run into trouble, there is a way for you to flag me or leave the room and come back in and ask me a question, ask me to come in, whatever, lo que sea, ¿ok? ¿Está bien? ¿10 minutos?
Sí.
Magnífico. Bueno, practiquen, por favor. Hit that join button. Muy bien. Aquí vienen las tres. Ok. Oh. Am I muted? No. Oh, Diane. Diane, no te puedo oír. I need you to take yourself off mute. Yeah, it mutes you when you come back in.
Oh, so you
Automatically.
didn't get our submissions from our stories, or you did?
Oh, the audio?
Yeah.
I got like 2 audios. I don't know what went wrong. I'm trying to find that out with them.
Oh,
I did, however, take a look at all of the reading segments, and I read all of the items. And I think, Diane, did I not send feedback to you? I will go back and do that if I did not.
I don't think so.
I didn't get feedback.
Okay.
No. No.
I had emailed some. Oh, okay. And then I forgot. So, okay. Patricia también. I've got to do 2 of those then. Okay. I'm sorry. I did read them all. I did read them all. And I had some little corrections. I thought I had sent those 2 back and I didn't. Perdón. I will do that right away tomorrow morning.
I didn't write anything. I just did the audio.
Okay. Oh, and okay.
Okay. I did both.
Okay. And for some reason, I couldn't find the audio. I don't know where that disappeared to, and it's got to be something either I am doing wrong or there's
Señora,
something funky with my account. Sí, dime.
dispénsame, pero tenía que download el app para usar el micrófono.
El micrófono. Oh, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Es eso.
Sí, yo uso un iPad.
Okay.
Y en línea no podía usar el micrófono, pero en el app sí, fue posible.
Me pregunto dónde está el audio. Realmente no sé. Voy a mandar un mensaje a la compañía de Nearpod para averiguar dónde está el audio, porque no pude encontrar nada, casi nada, quizás una grabación, maybe 1 recording or 2 I found. So I'm going to try to find out what happened with that. No sé qué pasó. Y perdón.
I still sent mine because I messed up with the microphone, so I will have 2 emails from me.
Okay.
So.
I am going to put future things of that on a different site because I've got one that's very reliable, and everybody who did that from a different class was able to record it, and I immediately got it, and it was super clear. So I'm just going to use a different software version for that. But I am going to look for where the heck did all that go, into some black hole. No sé. Okay. So forgive me for that, but I will try to find out where that got stored. Es un misterio. That is sadly a mystery for me. Okay. A ver, ¿tienen ustedes preguntas de hablar del pasado o no? ¿No?
No.
Bien claro. Ok. Vale, magnífico. Vamos a ver algo que se trata de 2 términos que usamos muchas veces con el presente o el pasado, pero la significación, lo que significa, cambia. Y los términos son ya y todavía. Y hay buen video que explica muy claramente las diferentes significaciones, las diferentes definiciones de ya y de todavía no, que dependen en el verbo. Y porque es un punto un poquito difícil, no es tan difícil, pero vale la pena ver este video porque explica todo muy, muy bien. Y vamos a ver aquí. And again, I will put this all into a one-stop shopping place. I will put all these videos into one place where you can just dig them out later on and review them when you need them. Ok.
Closely with Spanish students, and I hear a mistake made with one of these two words, I'll often ask, why did you use ya or todavía
No
in this
pueden oír?
sentence? And I typically get one of two responses. I know I need
Can you guys hear? ¿Pueden oír?
See,
Sí,
Yes.
ok.
I can't see it. I don't get any video.
No.
No, I have a Chromebook. I don't know, it may be the player, I don't know.
Ok, momentito.
I don't
Otra
get
vez.
video.
Let's unshare it and try again one more time, una vez más. Make sure I've got all my boxes checked off for sharing audio.
Well, it could be the Chromebook. It could be the Chromebook.
Yeah, oh, it could be. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll try it one more time. Okay, so talking about ya and todavía, you haven't really missed anything yet. Aquí
to
vamos.
use ya or todavía in this sentence, but I wasn't sure which one, so I guessed. I tried to translate directly from English. In this video, you're going to learn a new way to think about ya and todavía that will allow you to quickly figure out which of these two words you need without translating directly from English. Vámonos. One of the reasons that ya and todavía are so challenging when translating from English to Spanish is that there are a lot of possible translations for these words. Ya could be already, now, by now, yet, still, no longer, anymore. Todavía could be yet, still, even, already. Now notice that both ya and todavía can be yet, still, and already. Let's have a look at a few examples to demonstrate this point. Imagine you want to ask someone in Spanish, have you eaten yet? Have you eaten yet? This in Spanish would be, ¿ya has comido? ¿Ya has comido? Now, if the answer to the question was, no, I haven't eaten yet, then this in Spanish would be, no, todavía no he comido. No, todavía no he comido. So here you can see that we've now got one question that has the word yet in it, have you eaten yet, that uses ya, and we've got the answer, no, I haven't eaten yet, which has todavía. Let's look at another example. Imagine you want to ask someone politely, if you haven't already done the dishes, can you wash this too? Imagine you've got a dirty plate. Now this in Spanish would be, si todavía no has lavado los platos, ¿puedes lavar esto también? Si todavía no has lavado los platos, ¿puedes lavar esto también? So in this sentence, we've got si todavía, if you haven't already washed the dishes. Now, if the answer was, sorry, I've already washed the dishes, this would be lo siento, ya he lavado los platos. Lo siento, ya he lavado los platos. So again, if you haven't already, we need todavía. I have already, we need ya. All right, and let's look at an example for still. Imagine you're going to a party and you want to check whether your friend Louisa is still at the party. So the first person you walk up to at the party, you ask, is Louisa still here? This in Spanish would be, ¿Está Luisa todavía aquí? ¿Está Luisa todavía aquí? Now, if the answer was, no, she is not still here, this in Spanish would be, no, ya no está aquí. No, ya no está aquí. Now, notice the answer to that question was, no, she is not still here. Now, I may get some comments below from the people that know English grammar really well. People might be saying, well, Andrew, that's not technically a great English sentence. And if you look on the dictionary website for not still, you'll see that this is technically not allowed and it should be, she is no longer at the party or she's not at the party anymore. But if for you that sentence sounds like it's okay, no, she's not still here, then this is just going to compound this problem of already, yet, and still being possible translations for ya and todavía. So if searching for a direct translation doesn't work, what should we do instead? To answer this question, we need to look at why we even need these words in a sentence in the first place. In English, if you were to ask someone, are you ready versus are you ready yet versus are you still not ready? Now, of course, you can really ask this question with some emotion. Are you still not ready? Now, of course, I'm going to throw in some tonality and some emotion to really highlight the point. But even if I try to completely remove all emotion from that question, are you still not ready? Are you still not ready? As you can see, it's very hard to remove the emotion completely because that's what these words are doing. They're adding expectation to time-based events. Wow, you're already ready? That was quick. Wow, you've already finished your food? You're a fast eater. Wow, you've already solved that puzzle? Impressive. Now that we know these words add expectations to time-based events, that leads to 4 possible scenarios. Expectations around events in the present, expectations around events in the past, positive expectations, and negative expectations. Now, when I say positive and negative, I'm not necessarily talking about positive and negative emotions, but talking about the positive or affirmative answer to a question and the negative answer to a question. So let's have a look at an example. Imagine you are living in Lima, and I wanted to ask you, are you still living in Lima? This in Spanish would be, ¿Todavía vives en Lima? ¿Todavía vives en Lima? Now, if the answer to that question was the positive or the affirmative, yes, I'm still living in Lima, that would be, sí, todavía vivo en Lima. Sí, todavía vivo en Lima. Now imagine that negative answer was no, I'm no longer living in Lima, or I'm not still living in Lima, or I'm not living in Lima anymore. All 3 of those sentences would translate to one in Spanish would be, no, ya no vivo en Lima. No, ya no vivo en Lima. Now, one thing that you may have noticed from this example that we can rely on with complete certainty is that if the positive answer to a question has todavía, then the negative answer will have ya no. So for example, ¿todavía quieres? Sí, todavía quiero. No, ya no quiero. ¿Todavía tienes? Sí, todavía tengo. No, ya no tengo. Let's have a look at another example. Imagine I want to ask you, are you still working for the government? This in Spanish would be, ¿todavía trabajas para el gobierno? ¿Todavía trabajas para el gobierno? Now, if the answer to that question was yes, I'm still working for the government, this would be, sí, todavía trabajo para el gobierno. Sí, todavía trabajo para el gobierno. Now, if the answer was no, it would be, no, ya no trabajo para el gobierno. No, ya no trabajo para el gobierno. With these 2 examples, living in Lima, working for the government, going back to our 4 scenarios, we've now covered the first 2. And this leads to the positive with todavía and the negative with ya no. So the first thing you have to ask yourself, are you talking about events in the present? And if you're talking about the positive affirmative case, then you need todavía. And if you're talking about the negative, then you need ya no. Let's have a look at an example for the past. Imagine I wanted to ask you, have you already been to the market today? Have you already been to the market today? This in Spanish would be, ¿ya has ido al mercado hoy? ¿Ya has ido al mercado hoy? Now, if the answer to that question was yes, I have already been to the market, this in Spanish would be, sí, ya he ido al mercado. Sí, ya he ido al mercado. Now, if the answer was no, I haven't been to the market yet, this in Spanish would be, no, todavía no he ido al mercado. No, todavía no he ido al mercado. All right, let's look at another example. Imagine I lost my glasses. Oye, ¿ya has encontrado tus gafas? No, todavía no. So now going back to our 4 scenarios, we have expectations around events in the past. And in the positive sense, we have ya. Yes, I have already been to the market. And we have the negative, no, I still haven't been to the market. I haven't been to the market yet. Todavía no. So now, if you know you're talking about an event in the past, an event that should have happened or that you're expecting to happen by now, then you need ya in the positive case and todavía no in the negative case. Now, the last part of this topic, which can make this just a little bit more tricky, is that you can actually reframe sentences about past events to make them sound like or look like they're happening in the present. So for example, with the situation where I lost my glasses, instead of saying, have you found your glasses yet? Have you found them in the past? You could just say, do you have your glasses now? Do you have them now? And it sounds like this is a present tense situation, but it's actually talking about the search. Is the search over? So you're still referring to an event in the past. So instead of saying, have you found your glasses yet? You could say, do you have your glasses now? This in Spanish would be ¿Ya tienes tus gafas? ¿Ya tienes tus gafas? Now, if the answer to that question was no, I don't have my glasses yet, no, I don't yet have my glasses, or no, I still don't have my glasses, this would be no, todavía no tengo mis gafas. No, todavía no tengo mis gafas. Or in the positive case, yes, I have my glasses now. Sí, ya tengo mis gafas. Sí, ya tengo mis gafas. So as you can see from this example, even though we're talking about a situation using present tense conjugations, we're still referring to an event in the past. We're still talking about that search of actually looking for the glasses. And at the end of the search, we have them. We now have them. So we're still going to use ya and todavía no like it's a past tense, even though we've got a verb conjugated in the present. Let's have a look at another example. Going back to the question from before, imagine you're getting ready and you want to ask the person you're getting ready with, are you ready yet? This in Spanish would be, ¿Ya estás listo? This is if you're talking to someone who is male. Now, if you're talking to someone who's female, it'll be, ¿Ya estás lista? ¿Ya estás lista? Now, if the answer to that question was, no, I'm not ready yet, this would be, no, todavía no estoy listo. No, todavía no estoy listo. Or yes, I'm ready now. Sí, ya estoy listo. Sí, ya estoy listo. So again, this is talking about the time it took to get ready. This is a past event. You spent all this time preparing, getting ready to go out, and at the end of finishing preparing to go out, then you say, yes, I'm ready now, or yes, I've finished preparing to go out. You want to think about the two situations. So going back to our 4 scenarios, technically we've got present tense, past tense, positive and negative, but we've also got past tense actions which are kind of worded like they're in the present tense. All right, so that ends this lesson on using ya and todavía to talk about time-based events in Spanish. If you have any questions or comments...
Okay.
Okay, I have a question. A question.
Sí, dime.
How do you say, because it's a negative, but it's a question, haven't you done that yet?
Todavía no has hecho.
So
You know, I'm going to send you the link for this. It's helpful to think of, it's most helpful to think of todavía no and ya as like 2 different sides of the coin.
okay.
Okay? And those 2 different sides of the coin, whether it's a positive, the thing is happening, or a negative, it is not yet existing. You know, it's helpful to think of them as opposites of each other. And then it's also helpful to think of them in what time frame they're happening. So looking at that grid, and I think it's going to take a little time for you to like watch that a second time and absorb it a little bit. And I next week we'll come back and we're going to do a little exercise with it. Okay, because I think this is one of those things you have to like look at 2 times, maybe 3 times, and let it sink in a bit. And we're going to come back and actually do an exercise next week, la semana que viene, okay? And actually put that into place. But when people look up, you know, do the dictionary search with ya, they look at the number of definitions it's got, and it's overwhelming. And then they hear somebody using it, and it becomes confusing. Which thing did they mean? Plus, a lot of times, people may just say at you, yeah. Yeah. And they're not speaking German. and you know, what they're saying is, yeah, already, okay, like, or now. So, yeah, it's kind of fuzzy. So actually, what I'm going to want you to do is go back and look at that again. And we're going to come back and plug it into some things that will be practice, okay? So I'm not going to give away too much with that yet, because I think it's a pondering thing. And I would actually I would like physically, if I were you, write that little 4 square grid out, because that will help when we, I'm going to have you go out and actually do a little exercise with that next week. But I want you to ponder it. Okay. Bien?
Yeah.
Bien.
Vale? Okay. Fantástico. This is something that adds a lot of nuances to, or can add a lot of nuances to your speech. Or when people throw it at you, you need to know, what they're asking. Have you done it yet? Still haven't. A lot of people just respond with ya no or todavía no, and that's the whole sentence. Boom, right? But it'll be easier for you to understand once you see some more examples with that. But we won't have time to get into that yet. What I do want to do is prep you a little bit for what we'll use for some speaking next week, and for what your what your reading homework will be, and what to prep for a speaking topic. Okay, la preparación. Ustedes van a trabajar la semana que viene en grupos pequeños y van a hablar, o quizás usando una combinación, y depende de la situación, pero una combinación del pasado y el presente, lo que quieran decir. What you're going to do is you're going to start with something that everybody knows about, and you are going to change a story from its traditional ending. You are going to get together in a group and decide how you want to change the ending of that story, which is kind of a fun thing to do. And of course, you'll be doing it in Spanish. I want a little feedback from you guys. It's always hard to find a story and say, go change this, and have something that everybody can share in common, that everybody knows the story. There's always that one movie, it's an iconic movie, but not everybody knows it. Not everybody has seen it. So sometimes I like to go back to, cosas de la infancia, something that everybody knows in common. And this particular topic, if you get into your groups and you totally want to change it, let me know. Or, maybe we'll talk about that now. The story I've traditionally used for this is Ricitos de Oro, which means Goldilocks. And I tell people, go out there, get into your groups, and talk about how you would alter the ending of the Goldilocks story. And the reason I usually choose this is because people find very bizarre ways. Some of them cynical, some of them cute, some of them downright nasty, of how to change that story. Some of them criminal. But they always wind up being something fun. Now, if in fact you guys don't like that idea, but you can agree on one movie, it would be nice for us to agree on what that one movie is going to be. If you really don't like the idea of Ricitos de Oro because it's a kiddie story, I get it. But then we would have to agree on what that movie or what that story, book, novel, whatever is going to be that everybody knows in common. So, ¿qué opinan ustedes? What do you guys think? ¿Qué opinan ustedes?
Ricitos de Oro está bien.
Yeah,
Okay, un voto.
yeah, it's good. Could be funny.
Sí.
Oh, Miguel, por favor, no puedo oírte. Perdón.
I'm sorry, I'm muted.
Sí, entiendo.
How about Star Wars?
Star Wars, I had thought about that as well. Does everybody know Star Wars?
Luke,
No.
I am your primo.
No.
El primer año. El primer episodio, el viejo episodio de 1979 o 78, lo que sea así. Okay, but not everybody knows that one. You know, as surely as you think you've got a movie that everybody knows, somebody truly doesn't know the ins and outs. Es lo que pasa. I'll tell you what, Miguel, if you happen to get sorted out into a group where everybody does want to do Star Wars, I'll say, go for it. But anyway, so kind of have those two things.
Rocky.
See, have those two things in mind. Otras ideas o no? Teresa, ¿quieres decirme algo?
Oh, Rocky or Princess Bride.
Oh, Rocky, Princess Bride. Oh, good. Yeah.
Titanic.
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 Wow, we've got some good ideas. Patricia, I think you're on mute, Patricia, or else we couldn't hear you.
No, Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind. That's another one that most people know. Oh, that could have some interesting endings.
Especialmente hoy, ¿no?
Yeah, especialmente hoy, claro, sí. Okay. You know what I think I'm going to do is we'll just make sure we block out a good period of time for you to decide on a topic and some possible endings, but it will have to be something that you all agree on. I think that's something that probably could be done in about 15 minutes, do you think? Next week? It takes time for people to plan out what they want to say and then say it and tell the ending of their story. So that's going to be the big, after you come out of groups, each group is going to tell what the ending of their story is. Okay? And I'm likely to try to put you in groups of 2 or 3 for this so that you really have to give some ideas and you can't just sit back and be the one person sort of sitting back. I want everybody to really kind of put some ideas in. Do we need to agree on one story, you think, before we leave today?
Sí, creo que sí.
Because a lot of people really need to, you know, a lot of people really need to kind of think it out because they want to come up with something creative and then get into that group and give their creative idea. And once you start bouncing ideas off each other, it really starts to, you know, the sparks start to fly. So I'm going to ask you to do this now. I would like you to put in the chat box which topic or which movie, which thing you want to talk about. Ricitos de Oro, and I'm going to spell out what ricitos looks like because you might not know how to spell that term. So you can put it in the chat box like to everybody, or you can put it in just to me. But I think we should probably decide what that's going to be because you're going to go out and you'll be surprised. Depending on which group you get into, people will have very different endings. And that's part of the fun of it as a project. So if you can get into the chat box, I want you to think that over and think about Star Wars, Rocky, Ricitos de Oro. And, you know, if we should be able to agree on, you know, one story for everybody to work on, but in their different groups. And we'll take whatever the top one is. So while I am waiting for folks.
Oh, here we go.
I've got 2 for Ricitos, 1 for Rocky. So far, we've got a little bit of difficulty with, you know, people not knowing these. Should we say Ricitos for now?
Sí.
Ricitos, okay, bien, okay. We can do another one another time, you know, and
how many Rocky movies are there? I don't.
Okay.
First one. This is the first one.
Ricitos?
No, I'm kind of going, which Rocky movie?
Okay. Entiendo. Okay. Let's do Ricitos. It's easy. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it from there. Let's see. If you don't, you can Google it and figure it out in about 5 minutes. Okay. En 5 minutos. Okay. So start to brainstorm. When you get into your small groups, you're going to bounce those ideas off each other, come up with an ending, and then we're going to come back and share all the different endings. And that is where it becomes a big reveal and kind of fun. kind of fun to see what kind of creative ideas people come up with. Okay, bien. So you're going to have some brainstorming ideas. You're going to maybe take some notes on that. You're going to go back and look at the todavía no versus the ya thing, right? Cruise that again. Would you like me to give you a story to read, an article to read? Not a story really, but an article. See, algo? Okay, and this will be again like that, the thing you did last week where you read something and responded. You will hear somebody read the story, you'll follow each phrase, they'll highlight each sentence as they go through each sentence, and then it will quiz you on the vocabulary and quiz you on kind of taking the scrambled phrases and putting them back, reconstructing them into the original sentences. But it's all based on that specific story. This is going to be something I can kind of preview. Puedo decirles que el artículo habla de manifestaciones venezolanos, Venezuelan protests. No es ricitos de oro. It is not Goldilocks. Manifestaciones looks like manifestations, and what that means, ¿qué quiere decir? ¿Qué quiere decir manifestaciones? Son protests, marches, manifestaciones venezolanos. Es buen artículo, bastante interesante, y habla de la situación actual en estos tiempos. Actual no es actual, actual es ahorita.
Yeah.
¿Verdad? Right now. La situación actual en Venezuela. ¿Vale?
¿Controladora?
Oh, sí, claro. Ok. Bien. Voy a darles el enlace en el correo electrónico. Sí, ¿verdad? Sí. I had a final idea, but I think we're going to save it till next week. I have a little movie I do want you guys to watch, but I think if I give you more than what I've given you now, it will become a little too overwhelming. So, okay. ¿Está bien?
Sí.
Está bien.
Ok, vamos a hablar de ricitos, van a leer de manifestaciones venezolanos y vamos a repasar y practicar las ideas de todavía no y ya, y cómo son ideas opuestas para expresar ideas, ¿verdad? ¿Está bien?
Está bien.
Magnífico. Ok, vamos a terminar la grabación. We're going to end the recording here.